Superman. To the world, he is not just a hero, he is the hero, a symbol of hope, a vision of perfection, a savior who never fails. But symbols are prisons. When the world looks at him, they do not see Clark Kent, the boy from Kansas. They see the ideal man. But what is an ideal man, and who decides? Aristotle believed that man's purpose was to achieve virtue through action, shaping character until excellence became second nature. Nietzsche imagined the Übermensch, the one who transcends human weakness and creates his own values. Kierkegaard spoke of the knight of faith who sacrifices himself endlessly for a higher duty. Superman embodies pieces of all of these. He has the virtue Aristotle described, the strength and will Nietzsche demanded, the faith Kierkegaard admired. Yet he is not perfect. He struggles, he doubts, he suffers, and perhaps that is why he is compelling, because his perfection is not natural, it is chosen. The world asks Superman to be flawless, to be stronger than anger, greater than despair, holier than corruption. But in truth, his greatest strength is not his fists, it is his humanity. The choice every day to live not as a god above men, but as a man who chooses to carry godlike responsibility. And here lies the first paradox. Superman is alien by nature, but human by choice. He is the ideal man because he chooses to be, not because he must be.
But to be seen as the ideal is not a gift, it is a curse. When the world looks at Superman, they do not allow him to be ordinary. He cannot fail, he cannot hesitate, he cannot be selfish. He is chained by perfection. This is the curse of every ideal. The more perfect you appear, the less you are allowed to be human. The more flawless you seem, the less people forgive your flaws. The ideal man is not free. He is trapped in expectation. Schopenhauer wrote that life is suffering. For Superman, suffering is not about defeat, because he rarely loses. His suffering is deeper. It is the suffering of hiding his desires, hiding his rage, hiding his exhaustion, hiding Clark Kent behind Superman and Superman behind Clark Kent, never fully one, never fully the other. Think of the geniuses of history, the prodigy child who is no longer seen as a person, but as a machine of brilliance, the leader who is never allowed to cry because the world demands strength, the parent who must always sacrifice until their identity dissolves into duty. This is Superman's life. The more perfect he becomes, the less he belongs to himself. His identity is consumed by his role. His humanity is swallowed by the myth. And this raises a question for us all. Is perfection truly something to desire, or is it a prison disguised as glory? Power is always a burden, and absolute power is an absolute chain. Superman cannot ignore pain. He cannot walk past suffering, because if he does, who else will stop it? Every scream, every disaster, every injustice calls to him, and if he refuses, the world collapses. This is the paradox of being the strongest. Power looks like freedom from the outside, but from within, it feels like duty, a duty that never ends. Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch as one who creates his own values, but Superman's life suggests the opposite. He does not live only for himself. He lives for others. His will is chained to the billions who depend on him. And yet, is that not what makes him ideal? His restraint, his choice, his refusal to use his power for dominance. Sartre believed that man is condemned to be free, forced to choose without excuses. Superman is condemned in the same way. He chooses every day to bear a responsibility that crushes others, and by doing so, he becomes more than a savior. He becomes a mirror. Because in truth, all of us carry burdens, smaller, quieter, invisible. The family we provide for, the work we endure, the pain we swallow for the sake of others. Superman's struggle is simply the human struggle magnified to infinity. His chains are brighter, but they are not unfamiliar. The weight of responsibility does not make him less human. It makes him the most human of all.
But perhaps Superman's deepest curse is not perfection, not responsibility, but loneliness. Clark Kent can smile, he can laugh, he can love, but beneath every embrace there is a truth no one can erase. He is not one of us. He is the last son of Krypton, an alien in a fragile world, a god among men. No matter how much he loves humanity, he will never belong fully to it. No matter how much he serves the world will never understand him. Jung wrote of the shadow, the hidden side of the self that we suppress. Superman's shadow is his alien nature, the part of him that knows he is different, that knows he could dominate, that knows he could rule, and yet he chooses not to. That choice makes him noble. That choice makes him tragic. This is the loneliness of the extraordinary, the loneliness of the athlete who has no rival, the genius whose thoughts no one can follow, the leader whose struggles no one can share. The higher you rise, the fewer voices can reach you. Superman's loneliness is not just being the last of his kind, it is being the only one who can never stop being strong. The only one who can never lay down his burden, the only one who must always be the ideal man, even when he longs to just be a man. So, what does it mean to become the ideal man? For Superman, it is not his strength that makes him ideal. It is not his speed, his flight, his invulnerability. Those are powers, tools, accidents of birth. What makes him ideal is his restraint, his compassion, his refusal to use his gifts for dominance, but for protection. The ideal man is not flawless. He bleeds, he doubts, he fears, but he chooses every day to rise above his flaws, to carry the weight anyway, to use his strength not for himself, but for others. And here lies the lesson. To become the ideal man is not to chase perfection. It is not to become untouchable. It is to embrace responsibility, to choose virtue when it costs you, to sacrifice comfort for meaning, to love even when it is easier to hate. But there is a final question. Is this path truly attainable for us? Or is Superman only a myth, a symbol to inspire but never to imitate? Can humans become the ideal man? Or do we simply need him to remind us to keep trying? Perhaps that is Superman's true role. Not to be worshipped, not to be envied, but to be a mirror. A story that tells us that even the strongest are lonely, even the greatest suffer, even the ideal is cursed. And yet, he still chooses to rise. That is the philosophy of Superman. The burden of perfection, the prison of responsibility, the loneliness of a god among men, and the hope that even in the face of despair, man can still strive to become more. And now I ask you, what does it mean for you to become the ideal man? Would you accept the burden even if it cost you freedom, even if it left you alone? Leave your reflection in the comments. If this made you think, then like this video, subscribe to Philo Thoughts, and join me again as we descend further into the dark reflections of power, morality, and the human condition.